Sit down, you'll feel it. The lack of it.
This will be a quick meeting.
All right, there we go. Good evening, everyone. It's now 6:03 p.m. and the July 21st City Council Budget Workshop will now come to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kathy, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Frank Bankert.
Present.
Councilmember Kimberly Shaw Elliott. I think she's on there.
See her on there?
Here's your Daisy, the monster.
Aye.
Councilmember Kimberly Shaw Elliott.
Present.
Thank you. Councilmember Todd Harper.
Present.
Councilmember Jody Shirley. Here. Councilmember Anders Wellings.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lloyd Roberts.
Here?
Mayor Dave Gaddis.
Present.
City Manager Kyle Riefler.
Here.
City Attorney
Here.
Meyer.
All right, thank you. So the first item tonight is the discussion and review of the strategic plan, and number two is the review of the budget. Kyle and I met a little bit this morning, and he felt it would be better to start with the budget, and then he'll just interweave the strategic plan into it whenever it makes sense. So that sounds like a good approach. If everybody's good with that, that's the way we'll go forward. Strategic plan, you guys were here when we spent a lot of time on that. I think this particular strategic plan, and talking with Kyle, I work for organizations that you would do this once a year, and it'd be a nice, big, pretty book, and would sit on your shelf, and would never be looked at again until next year. I know that's not the case with our city. I know Kyle uses that as a tool to make sure when we spend money that it meets the requirement of our plan and follows everything that we want it to follow. So I think that's great, and he does a good job with that. So with that in mind, here we go, Kyle.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor Roberts. So let me cover over the main budget of the changes that we discussed in the last budget workshop in June. And I'm going to call out each page number. To start, you'll notice that we cover table contents, message from the city manager, the structures, and a lot of the fluff was added to the budget that we do to help explain the operations of the city. When we get to page 10, we updated the ad valorem property value official. Right now, the number is going to go down. Our values, overall taxable values of negative 0.82%. So we want to keep that in mind, that when the values drop, if we stay at the same millage, it slightly will reduce the revenue from ad valorem. And then also added was a millage analysis page. So it kind of lays out on page 11 how we compare as far as millage rates to the other municipalities inside of California. And then some updates to the budget. Go to page 26. We did some adjustments to the merchant fees, minimal, just that the estimated percent is going to be 12%. So that's on page 26, and you'll just find that it changed.
Which item?
Page 26, bank merchant fees. These are slight changes. This is just to get it more in line with what our current merchant fees have amounted to in the past year.
Are those credit card fees? What is a merchant fee?
So these are the fees that, let me look. It's the estimated 12% projected revenue for parking meters, so it's the built-in merchant fee for the parking hole.
So this is our. It's the value that they collect, or it's the fee they collect?
It's the fee that they build into their program or their contract.
Okay.
So she just updated that. I'm just going over what changed from the
Right.
last budget. I just want to make sure that I cover everything listed. On page 27, that is the sheriff contract. I sent an email with the new contract amounts. We are looking at the restructuring of the contract where they did track changes, and then I sent that document and also sent to Attorney Trash for review. But what ended up happening is we no longer have the discount for Bel Air Shore built in after pulling out of our total law enforcement fee. So they had built into the contract, I don't know if you had time to look at the track changes, but they built in the, how they would break down the hours into the actual contract, and then they reduced the overall contract. So we only increased this amount this year by 2.6. If you remember last year, it was closer to 7% for the overall law enforcement contract.
Yeah, if we could stay on this, Bel Air Shores, now they're not in the contract anymore. Last year, they fought the sheriff's department, and they never even signed a contract with them until like January of this year. And they were arguing because they were getting a break for I don't know how many years, and the sheriff increased their costs considerably. But anyway, bottom line was the sheriff threatened that he wasn't going to do any policing of Bel Air Shores except for 911 calls and emergency situations. They reached an agreement to do a 1-year freeze on their budget, on the sheriff's budget for 2024 and 2025. This year, they got a sizable increase because they agreed to pay that increase. They fought again. Daniel Story, the commissioner, went over to talk to Goulier. Again, they got a 1-year freeze. And then they signed a contract now for 3 years. They get, I think, a 17% increase next year. But my argument is, how the hell did they get a freeze and we don't get a freeze? Not pointing at you, but I think maybe we should just go talk to the sheriff. I mean, 2.6%.
Has that been brought up at all, to anybody's knowledge?
Well, the mayor had a conversation with last year that he mentioned, but formally as a body, no, we have not.
And we have a signed contract with them, right?
Well, we have a proposed contract for this year that they gave us the track changes
Right.
from last year, showing how they restructured.
I just think,
And we lost our discount because we raised so much hell about being on the same contract with Bel Air Shores, which really didn't gain us anything. We lost some discounts. And
we didn't lose any discount. It was the money that they paid that we used to say was a discount. It wasn't a discount. It was
Well,
just,
they were still paying a portion.
They were offsetting us.
they were offsetting us, but they were just paying a portion, which wasn't a discount because we were paying more money for them.
It worked out, it was just miscalculated.
Yeah, but it
So
was a
the
miscalculation.
644,
It wasn't a discount, it was an overcharge.
so the 644 here is from previous year was including Bel Air Shores, and the 661 does not include Bel Air Shores, is that what I'm understanding you saying?
No.
I think it changed in the,
644, they weren't in the contract. They should have been in the contract last year.
Okay, so the 545 they were included?
yes.
So we went up $100,000 in the
545, that was last year's contract, and they were included. This year, we have an increase of 16,486.
I'm trying to understand the difference between the 545 and the 644, because you're saying 545 included Bel Air Shores and 644 did not include Bel Air Shores.
No, 2023 included Bel Air Shores.
Right.
Yeah, the 545 number
Not
did include that, you're right.
2025.
So there's a $100,000 delta between 23,
Yes.
24 and 24, 25, but that includes losing Bel Air Shores in the contract.
And Bel Air Shores was paying around 57,000 of that.
Okay. Got it.
And they're still paying 57,000. They haven't gotten an increase now in 2 years.
If
So
I
I
can
don't know how you
interject
balance
something
budgets
here.
like this.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I reached out to Galtieri last year about the 7% increase, and he assured me that everyone across the board got the same increase. If Bel Air Shore got something, well, I guess that's good for them, but as far as all the rest of the communities, now that we're broken apart, it was my understanding everyone was getting the same increase, the same percentage increase. Now, if something was frozen, and maybe because they've worked out some special deal that eventually it's going to snowball on them, that's between Bel Air Shore and Galtieri as far as I'm concerned, because of the majority of the communities, in fact, maybe all but one, got the same increase across the board. Now, if I'm wrong, then I stand to be corrected, but I got a phone call and a letter directly from Galtieri last year whenever I raised this concern.
Yeah, I recall you updating us on that, so that was good.
And you're saying everybody got 2.6 now for this year, for the coming year?
I have not reached out personally and asked everyone in survey, but
That's fine.
I'm not gonna contact Galtieri every year and go, well, it's not fair what you're doing to us.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whenever he said it's, everyone gets the same increase across the board.
He actually gave us a $50,000 break, so if you take the 544 and you add that 50 and you add the other 57, that's where that $100,000.
Right. That is particularly reasonable.
Okay. Are we all,
So that's what you said you changed since the version you showed us like a month ago, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, we added that because we got the information.
Got it.
since then.
Okay.
And then, just wanted to go back over, is everybody comfortable with the contract that they proposed this year? I mean, I'm gonna put it as an agenda item to be approved, but,
The sheriff's department?
yeah, is everyone reviewed how they changed? it?
Everybody good? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up was code enforcement. And code enforcement, you're going to see a 43.3% increase in the budget from last year, but that's mainly because not only did the increase go up 8% for the hourly amount, so they're up to $63.73 an hour. We also upped from 12 to 16, so we budgeted the 16 hours
Right.
a week, so that's why you're seeing such a large jump.
Okay.
43, page 43 was the pickup truck that we brought up. And I looked at the state, the sheriff contract, purchasing cooperative, and yes, they've gone up probably about $10,000. It just in the last couple of years, so that I'm looking more for saving $43,000 to make that purchase if you're going to get something comparable to like the F-250. So what I recommend is that we did have, let's see what it
Is that still the best tool to use, the sheriff's contract?
It's a good
It is.
Good
It makes it
pricing.
easier to
base
go
models.
through it,
Mhm.
to buy.
We've already had good pricing through that, and a lot of local dealers will support it. But we were saving $4,000 a year, but if we up to $8,000 a year for 26, 27, and 28, we'll be roughly at that replacement value.
Okay.
Good.
So it would add a couple of years, but I think that truck can last. That's where I'm at with that agreement. And then we talked about the buoys, so we did some research.
Where's that one?
That is going to be page 35.
35?
Yes.
Going back.
So I contacted FWC, and our permit currently has 16 markers on the Gulf in the beaching area. So we can space them out. So if we were to drop from 16 markers to approximately 8 markers, twice the distance between them, they will allow us to change the permit. But then when we reached out to the American underwater contractors that do the diving, it didn't change their overhead on the 2 days of the commercial diving vessel and crew, which is $2,800 a day. But it did reduce the cost of the actual, rakes for those buoys. So looking at doing, the original quote was to do the 14 replacements, 14 and 16 that we lost from the storm. We were looking at $18,438. But when they reduced it to only replace, this says 8, we did 8 to be certain because we're not sure if we still have those 2 buoys in location, plus we didn't know the actual spacing how it was going to work out. But to do 8, it still requires 2 days of the boat. So it only reduces the price to just below $13,000. So you're minimal savings just because you're not
18 to
investing
13.
in just
You said
buoys.
18 to 13 is what the number was?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much would it cost for the pilings that you were talking about?
It was more money, I had the numbers, but you got a lot more longevity out of it, but we were worried about the risk and the liability.
Because I'm looking out there, we have 5 of them just out,
Yeah.
and we haven't had any accidents out there.
5 filings.
The water's so shallow, you can't go fast.
I see a lot of boats going fast out there at high tide. Now, I don't know why a boat has to be so close to the shore anyway. I mean, if the longevity, you were saying, like,
Because that's
Yeah,
the
okay.
only cut to get under the bridge. It's the only cut to get under the bridge, that's why they come close to shore there.
So Dave and Kim, you guys have any input? Kim looks like, to tell the truth, when the
Mystery-
person was
mystery
blacked
shopper.
out.
What's that, Chair?
Mystery shopper.
So if we can save, if we spread out the buoys, it won't be much, but if we were to reduce down to 8 buoys on the Gulf side, I think we could get away with saving $7,000 a year and be able to budget keeping those buoys, for the most part, 80%.
Does anybody think there's any downside to
What does that
reducing
do?
the number?
What does that do to the permit? So if you change from 16 to 8, does that mean if you ever decide to go more, you've got to get another permit change?
Well, I just have to modify it again. I don't think it would be complicated.
It sounds to me like that's not much savings, enough savings to justify cutting them in half. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but $1,000 is not a lot of money considering you're cutting, it's not proportional what your savings is.
I agree completely, and to me, it's a liability issue, and if, some child gets hit because some bozo runs through a gap in our buoys, I think that would be horrible. So for the amount of money, let's not even consider it.
What's the distance spacing now, Kyle, with the 16?
About 300 feet.
Okay.
And we lost every buoy during the storm.
We lost all of it too. I couldn't guarantee we had them all. We had most of them. Like a
But we'll
90%.
replace those too as well. We're gonna replace all of them.
Well, Ray, it depends what we end up doing. If we want to have 16 back, I can get the recommendation, or I can have them take a look at the ones that are still moored to see what they think. I mean, you might as well give them.
I mean, I'm
Switch
just
out
thinking,
while they're out
if
there.
they're out
Yeah.
there and the dive crew is that much
Yeah.
money, you may as well replace, we only have 2, replace them if we're replacing them. So we know everything's been serviced, it's kind of a maintenance thing, the maintenance is
Right,
done,
right.
that's behind us.
Yeah.
I don't understand why to replace 8 or 16, it takes 2 days.
Still got to roll the trucks.
You roll the trucks.
Still got to have a crew on site on doing the work, so they've got to show up whether it's 8 or 16, so.
Yeah, but you're only doing half the work.
Imagine throwing crab traps out. You got 16 or you got 8, it still takes a day or 2.
Not where I come from.
That's a fair question, but the overall savings in the buoys themselves, one more time, how much is
So
that?
you're lucky, if you cut them in half, you're only going to save about $5,000.
5,000 on material cost.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily have to replace them every year, right?
No, it's kind of hard to predict. I mean, they last 2 to 3 years. The storm knocked them out within a year.
Did I ask this before, is this part of our storm damage and could be covered by
No.
FEMA?
No, it's not covered. It's like landscaping, though, not covered buoys.
Do we ever get our money from FEMA?
We have not gotten the big reimbursement yet. I will let you know when we get that.
So who cares if it's covered?
So you can add it to it.
So everybody's good with staying with the 16?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna budget, so this year, to be able to replace 16, we're gonna need approximately $18,000 to $20,000 if we gotta do the extra two.
Okay.
What do
So,
we have saved right now?
15?
right now, we're at about 15 left over just from the purchase of the buoys.
1,500.
Yes.
When do you plan on replacing?
As soon as possible, once I have it lined up to do it.
Because we've gone out now since September 26. We're going into the height of the storm season next week. Wouldn't it be good to go October 1st?
I'd wait.
I'd take that long to order them.
So you
I
said-
have the buoys in.
You have the buoys, and then you just gotta contract the
It's
person to
getting
come out here and
purchase
do the work,
approved
right?
And going through purchasing procedures and then getting them scheduled.
Right, right. And we've paid for the buoys, but we haven't paid for the contractor to come out and do it, right? So,
And the shoebies don't start coming down till October anyway. I mean, I just would hate to see a storm come in and tear them out in September.
How's that work for your staff and everything?
It works for us, but as you know, everybody always wants things done as soon as possible. So I'm sure people who want buoys out there might be a little upset, but that's, just what it is.
And Kim, you bring up a valid point from a liability standpoint. I'd hate to be in that room and somebody asks a question and says, well, you guys had the buoys, yet you chose not to put them in, and then this happened.
Yeah,
That
but
would
the
be-
buoys don't stop people from doing what they're gonna do. They're going to come, they're gonna bring their boats into shore. That's what they, you have that mindset and they're gonna do it.
It's not the boaters, it's the jet skis.
Right.
The boaters are very, I
Cautious.
don't think I've ever seen in 11 years of an irresponsible boater. It's these kids doing the weekend warriors, they run them up at Sandkey Park and,
Mhm. John's Pass.
yeah, John's, yeah.
Well, so we have all the buoys right now,
Yes.
and that includes the two. Is that part of the 16, the two? Did we buy 14?
I bet we bought 14.
Okay.
I can get a couple more then.
My recommendation would be to discuss only the budget and let the city manager do what he does best.
yeah.
Move
All
on.
right, that's a good point.
And then moving on to page 62. But let's go 47 first.
So
Sorry.
just real quick though, so if we have 1,500 in there, is, like, are we basically borrowing to pay for the contracting work? I mean, we-
So the way these work, this is like our projects, so this is like projecting out how we're gonna allocate.
Right, but I think this is like every 2 years, we're going out and replacing buoys, right? And that's what this is being funded for?
Yes.
Right, so here we are this year, gonna go out, and we're not gonna have enough money to pay for the...
There's not gonna, in our budget, there's not gonna be a savings program for those buoys, but we have the money to make the purchase.
Okay,
It's just, we practice doing this so that we're putting the money in the correct pot as we go.
okay, got it.
Which is, that all ties to this.
Right, no, I get that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
read
so,
that.
so it's all the, yeah.
I get why we're doing it, I was just,
So we probably need to allow for future savings to be increased in that department, in that
Right.
area.
Right.
because we're using it up every year, I mean, we're gonna go negative,
Yeah.
at least on the way this is budgeted
We
now,
need
this
to
line.
saving
item.
10,000 a year rather than.
Right, that's what I was kind of
Yeah.
highlighting more than anything.
That'll keep us more aligned with keeping up with the 2 to 3 year maintenance. cycle.
Okay, right, okay.
So do you do a lump budget for this first pass and then do the accumulation after that?
We can write it in that way. We can put this year's budget
Seems
to
like a
cover
smart
the
way to do it.
replacement.
Yeah,
That way you're not in a deficit.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that was 40, that was on page 47.
That was 35.
All right, so, sorry, 35. We're moving on to page
47.
62, and this is 62.
John is on 47.
You mentioned 47, do you want to go there?
No, 47 we already did.
Okay.
So this should be it.
Yeah, we dropped back to 35 to talk about the buoys.
Okay.
What did we say on 47? Because I didn't make any notes that we talked about.
So 47, oh wait, no, this is a small adjustment. It was, this is just an update to the penny. Let me see how that changed. Okay, so she went from 200 under 312, 630 infrastructure sales tax, and now this is the amounts that were given, that's calculated in installments, and they pay us from the penny money is our allocated amount for Bel Air Beach. And she updated it, she had it at 200,000 projected revenue for this upcoming year, but she's obviously predicting more, so she projected 270.
Excuse me, Kyle, what page are we on?
We're on page 47.
37.
47.
47. So this is another adjustment to revenue, and it's just to get a better, a more accurate number. So it went from 200,000 expected revenue for the infrastructure sales tax to up to 270.
Okay.
And then the last was 62. And that, the prior worksheet we had listed the amount that we had that was spent.
62.
62. It's replacing seawalls, but the previous budget still had money that we spent from South Park seawall. So I moved it to make sure that we had 120 that was expended. And I just wanted to make sure that we didn't think that that was accumulated from prior year's funding.
So you're accounting for the 120 as money that's already been spent?
That was
We're
spent.
simply restocking.
Yes.
That's-
So
That's the capital revenue one, or is that the equipment for engineering design? It's a,
that was going to be your replace city seawalls capital project.
right, I'm on there, but I see two lines. Maybe I'm not reading it right. Oh, okay, these are just some.
Cost and funding.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah, the first two rows are the subtitles for the big one. Okay, got it.
this was a deficit spend, and now.
Right, I get that, yeah, thanks.
Okay, so that is all the changes from the last draft to this draft currently.
Okay.
Now we will go back to our strategic plan documents. So just as an overview of the elements that previous Vice Mayor Glenn Gunn went over when he formulated this plan. We started with our vision statement, which as a reminder is to be a premier Gulf Coast residential community by creating a high level of resident satisfaction, ultimately increasing the demand for living in Bel Air Beach and subsequently increasing property values. And then that was the vision, and then we arrived at the big picture mission statement, which the council at the time came up with: create a high level of resident satisfaction by focusing on a beautiful, friendly, safe, well-managed waterfront community. And then underneath that mission statement, we have our core values. And the city formulated 5 core values, which are public safety and health, tax dollar value, communication and community, aesthetics, and beach and waterfront. So these are the areas that we decided to focus on to reach that mission. And then underneath, we have goals. So when you get back on the pages that I included in our agenda packet, you have your core values, public health, safety, through the beach and waterfront. And then underneath it, you're going to see a goal listed. And currently, we have a goal listed for each core value. So for public safety and health, we have provide a safe and healthy environment for our residents. Goal 2 for tax dollar value is deliver the best value for the taxpayer dollar, prioritize and manage based on targeted outcomes. Goal 3 is for communication community, credible, timely, and transparent information and feedback between the city and residents, engender pride of community. And then goal 4 for aesthetics is create a vibrant, well-planned, well-maintained appearance for the city that denotes our sense of community and our quality of life. And in goal 5, we have for beach and waterfront, preserve and protect our city's natural beach and waterfront environments.
Was the intent of the numbering to signify priority for these?
No.
They're just
No,
5
I think
items
just
sequentially to create, okay.
No, they were all equally important. And then from there, we developed objectives, and each goal had 2 or 3 objectives that we set to reach the desired action output. And then, so once we've established what the objectives were, and then I came up with the action plan to reach those objectives. So currently, I don't have this, it's page 6 at the front of the general packet where it lists out the objectives for our strategic plan.
Yeah.
This is the last update for 2024. So under public safety and health, I mean, this is ongoing. Addressing the street flooding issues we're currently working on. Development of citywide streetlight plan. So I had a meeting with a different lighting manufacturer, solar lighting manufacturer, and I've gotten a quote and some examples that I'd like to provide information to you to get to pay for one light out there that we could test, but
Out there being like the
right out by Bayside.
Okay.
And the reason I chose Bayside is not only the proximity, but because it's sort of a dark area that connects into 9th Street. And I asked for them to provide a quote for the one light, but to be in line with what we would do for a lighting plan on that street if we were to expand it. So I'd like to bring it to a meeting to, make this purchase, test it out, but it's a whole different setup. 5 years ago when we purchased the Clear World light design, it was just a different industry at the time, there were different products. So this new company is using a nickel-plated battery. I think that makes them a sole source provider, as well as they combined all the components of the light into a small 15-pound box that is easily interchangeable with the top light. So it makes maintenance completely much easier for anybody to just perform. Right now, we have to open up batteries, pulling off the light arm, it takes 2 guys, you got a lift, you're taking apart the batteries, you're wiring controllers, so it's extensive maintenance. There's a little bit more than I think we want to get into. So I would like to test run these products to see if they're going to work better for our situation. So I just wanted to mention that as we talked about the citywide lighting plan.
Someone's,
Did Dave say something?
he
Dave,
did, he
second?
did.
I just said I love it.
Okay, and then the last objective was access Causeway Boulevard and Gulf Boulevard intersections. So we are working on it. I did write that email to Tom Washburn with Pinellas County. He did provide the recommendations again. I said, yes, those are the ones we would like you to implement so we can see how it. So he thought
The intersection, all the intersection stuff, like
the last
where
one.
the cars stop and things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
So Gulf Boulevard and Causeway. And he's gonna check back in with me, but he thought he could schedule it within 3 weeks.
What are we changing?
I will provide the document that was, just to make sure it's.
When you are talking to him again, Kyle, I know, I was just talking to Frank before the meeting, that has anybody noticed a difference in the traffic flow going through that traffic light? Because I think we all recall, Kyle, when Tom said they were going to put a new system there. It was kind of like a smart system, for lack of a better term, and it was extremely effective, especially coming from my direction. If I came to that light and it was red, and there was no traffic coming from the bridge or from the south to the north, it turned almost immediately. As soon as it recognized that I was there, and there was no traffic coming the other directions, my light turned green. That stopped. So I'm not sure if it's just malfunctioning, or I thought they had used the term that they were going to test it there. So I don't know by testing, they meant they tested it, and now they finished the test, and
There are
they put it
definitely-
somewhere else.
There are definitely different length cycles. I walk in the morning and it's a different length cycle than walking in the evening, as an example, and you can tell that it's kind of dynamic based on the traffic patterns. I'd be interested to hear how they do that. So
Before it was
Cool.
definitely
Sure,
based on the
video.
traffic flow.
Okay, we still
You probably-
test
Whatever they're doing
strips.
is, it's resulting in cars, well, I'm sitting at the light to turn left, cars flying through the intersection, making a U-turn and coming back and making a right while I still sit there.
Yep,
And I'm watching this over and over, so I
I've
wish
seen it as well.
the sheriff would sit there, because I, especially in the morning when I'm going running and it's 5,
and that
6
never
o'clock.
happened
I've never had that happen.
before,
I keep seeing it.
when that smart system was in there.
So the light is not detecting anymore.
Just randomly, once they go
Like
through
it
the light.
was.
Right,
Something's
something's
changed.
changed, something's
Where
changed.
it's gonna.
And he would be aware.
As far as I know, the same equipment is
Very
in place.
dangerous,
Yeah.
and then they're making
Yeah.
it, so.
And I think what happened is that after the storm system, in fact, I actually brought this up during one of the big C meetings whenever they did a presentation. They effectively lost all programming on the entire beach,
Okay,
all the way up and down the coast. And they have been struggling to put it all back the way that it was.
Okay.
all right, that would make sense,
Yeah.
because that's what I'm seeing.
All right. So that's the 3 objectives we currently have under public health and safety, or safety and health. Under tax dollar value, we have analyzed economic impacts on capital improvement projects and reserve funds. We also want to explore alternative funding. So as far as analyzing the CIP and reserve funds, I've asked Heather to continue to do a 5-year projection like we did previously for the bond issue to see where we're currently at. Because I think we need to see how our reserves are going to build over 5 years and then come up with some options of how we could pay back our current loan and then work in other projects.
where is the 9th Street pump project in this budget?
So if we do put it in the budget, if we actually want to add it as a project, it would go under the stormwater fund. which
Yeah,
is
I figured we were
right
gonna,
listed in
maybe
the
if there's
budget.
time, we were gonna talk about that maybe at the
It
end.
just seems like we're talking about the budget, that just seems to be a
Right.
glaring hole and
Right.
what needs to be covered, okay.
So where we're at with that is, the bid, they're supposed to give it to me tonight, the complete package, and then I'm gonna release it at the current, project. And then we're gonna see how it comes back.
Back to your point though, you said you went and talked to Heather, or you had Heather doing a reassessment of the look forward to pay back the original bond. Wasn't that already done
She did it when we did the bond.
when you did the bond? So she's just gonna have to update
She's
it
gonna
based
have
on whatever the new
Yeah.
funding situations are. Okay, so it's
Just
every year
Go
look
back
back.
through and make sure that
Okay.
her
So the
projections
plan's
are
there, it
accurate.
just needs to be revised every year and we looked at. Okay,
Yeah.
got it, okay.
And then,
And that's also probably where we'll explore some alternate funding on that one.
yeah, so as far as exploring alternate funding, Gemini Engineering is, they want to pursue a resilient Florida grant for the pump station. And the reason that we can now do that is because we started our vulnerability assessment process in partnering with the county. So that's one of the requirements for the new Resilient Florida program,
Okay.
which is more of like funding years out for what we're expecting changes of sea level rise, climate change, anything
Right.
you know, that we're preparing for, more long term.
All right, so are we gonna save some time at the end of the meeting to get into that a little more about that, or do we just talk about it as we go along?
So they are putting it together. I need to sign on to the portal. I need to download the application, provide it to them so they can
Okay.
see how the questions are laid out, and then I'm gonna have to transfer that back online so we apply ourselves.
Right.
So there's work I gotta do, but
Do you have any inkling, is it 100% coverage potentially, is it?
it could be a 75-25.
Maybe a 75-25, okay, okay.
And what do they want in return? Even?
Well, there's your typical, you know,
They tie up everything the city owns.
It's the grant to improve our
you
performance.
gotta keep it.
Really?
You have to.
Have you run into that?
Your cost to benefit ratio, you have to.
Oh, they'd love to do that.
Keep it,
What's
you know,
that?
obviously in perpetuity, because you're getting.
How do you fund the whole thing up front? And you've got to prove that you've actually
Yeah.
generated the revenue and
First-
or the reasoning.
I mean,
for
that's
the
a
reimbursement.
subject for another night, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The city carries the whole load up front, and
Oh,
then that's a
okay.
reimbursement grant kind of thing, right?
It's a reimbursement, yeah.
Is that a concern? I don't know, if Siri says that's a concern.
Just cash flow.
Right,
And it
okay.
depends on the land they want to tie up and things like that, right? So if they wanted to, you know, it was our public parks they want to tie up, yeah, it's a concern.
Tie up. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
they
another time
own
you
them
explain
forever.
all that. Okay.
There are certain things, like when we accepted the FERPA grant for the tennis courts, that locked us into maintaining those tennis courts.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay.
With public access.
Yes.
Okay, so that kind of stuff, right?
It's a kind of a nightmare because that area floods, so the whole foundation's like
The tennis courts
insane
are cracked. If
cracking.
you haven't ever walked out there, they're just full of cracks and they need to be dug up and rebuilt.
And that's our, we own that problem. Okay, got it.
So,
Whereas
yeah,
here, we
it's
would
all
own
considered.
the pump station and the grounds on the pump station that they would force us to maintain or something?
Well, I think we'd have to maintain that.
Well, I mean, we would maintain
station.
that anyway, right, I would think,
Do we
right?
have the option of engaging with the Bel Air Beach Foundation for things like generating a fund to replace the tennis courts? Or just using side money to do offset work like that?
We've talked about it.
I would donate to, I play tennis every Sunday, so I would donate to the tennis court rebuild fund, as an example, and I think a lot of other residents would too.
Hmm.
So at least an offset.
Oh, like having it there, yeah. So the 25%, would we have to talk about how we want to build that part of the fund up? If we
Yeah,
decide to move
that
forward?
would be our share. We could also build in some cost coverage for like the grant maintenance, because, you know, there's work to be done as you turn in all your paperwork. And so I would hopefully we'll be able to build in Gemini as a firm, you know, keeping up with the grant administration and filling out all the forms and the additional work.
Okay, but we would still need to build up
And then
the 25% of,
could fund
okay.
that.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so where were we? Okay, so alternate funding on tax dollar value. Communication community, we had an objective one, increase usability of the website. So we updated and changed the layout of the website in 2024. And since then, it's, you know, it's been working well. If there's updates or comments, the things to adjust, I will do what that website is capable of doing. And
I think that, maybe I'm lame, but every time I get on the website, it takes me a while to find what I'm looking for. And
Yeah,
that
it's a little
means
bit, yeah.
It's cumbersome.
It
It's
is
not very
cumbersome.
good.
I must admit that there aren't a whole lot of selections, like,
No, but sometimes just trying to find the agenda for tonight.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
It's not,
It isn't,
when you go
no.
under agendas, it doesn't say.
It doesn't
When are
show.
garbage holidays?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Is it-
Yeah, it's in the meeting, it's in upcoming meetings, right? Not under,
Yes.
yeah, upcoming.
not under the agendas and all that section. It's in a different,
It'll show up under agendas if you go to upcoming versus.
right, it's a different button.
Yeah, it sorts it out.
It's just confusing, that's
in
why.
a side table, and then it's built into the website design.
Got it, okay.
I mean, I'll try to do whatever.
I'm accomplishing it.
I think we figure it out.
We figure it
just doesn't
out.
seem very- It's just not real user-friendly.
Sorry, just, I feel like I'm being a little dense. So the 25% that we would have to come up with, where were you saying that would come from?
It would just come from our budget.
We have to add to it.
So is it a new line item we would need to add somewhere, which is not in there now, right?
Yeah, but
Surplus.
at the time of accepting the grant,
Okay, so you would address it then, when we get, if we get the grant?
so we would
when-
have to be approved, we'd have to be qualified for the grant, and then we'd have to formally accept it, so the council would have to
Okay,
approve that.
all right, so we wouldn't put it in this year's budget now, right? We wouldn't
Well,
try and account for it now?
We don't know enough information, but it won't hold up anything,
Okay,
as far as not having the exact number.
Could we,
in reserve.
could we budget for the whole thing and then turn around and deduct if we get the grant reimbursement? So do you budget 100,000 and then if we get
Yes.
75 reimbursement, then you,
There's nothing-
then you deduct 75,000 from the books?
There's no harm in putting it on as a project, because it doesn't mean it's approved or you're spending the money.
It becomes a savings account.
Right, okay.
Like
I mean,
these other
that,
projects that we're doing.
so that would be something we would discuss when, about making that decision. Is that something we try and do in a year? I guess it doesn't affect millage or anything like that, right? So, okay, so it's not that hard to, we could do that
Right.
in a future date without any impacts to the budget?
I think where we're looking at are slight decrease in values and, you know, we're predicting some further decrease, but we don't know exactly. Where we're sitting now, we're okay, as far as
Okay,
we'll set the millage and be comfortable with still knowing we have enough revenue coming in that we can plan for our
We can pay
projects.
the
No.
obligations we have right now,
Right.
but
But we
those
have
other
continuously
projects
assess it.
are not necessarily going to be covered in this budget. They
Those
make
other
the funds-
projects, like
meaning
the
that-
truck or something?
No, meaning that pump.
Right.
because
Line Street
It's a
Station.
big project.
It is a big project. No, I agree,
It's a
yeah.
big project, and
Yeah.
funds may not be available this tax year.
Right,
It
Right.
may be a saving over 5 years to pay for it type of project.
right.
And that's just part of, you know, the
Right, you're saying like, so if we,
government budgeting, you know.
right, I understand,
Yeah.
right, yeah, I understand, right. Okay.
How much do we have in reserves?
I'll have to get that number from Heather.
But theoretically, that would be available.
Yeah,
for us
there's
to
a,
take
there's a
money
lot of
from.
moving parts to the sheet. You know,
Yes.
we have money out there, FEMA still, we gotta get money back from our penny,
Right.
for this year. But she can figure it out.
We're getting, how much are we supposed to be getting back from FEMA?
So we currently are due about a $500,000 check for our main debris, hauling
How
from
much did that
Jordan,
cost?
Sultan Jordan. How much did it cost? So we got 100% reimbursement for the first 90
So it
days
costs
of
us-
debris removal.
The first 90 days?
Yes.
And that was 500,000, you're saying?
For that, for Phillips and Jordan's portion. We already got it was a large amount of contractors locally that was oversaw by Casper Modern, that we already got the money back for that 100%, which was the emergency. So that was good. That was all the scrambling we were doing between storms.
So, I mean, and just thinking here, so is this something that you could put or work with somebody that Tim and I did to put a plan together of, like, I don't know, when we say go for the project, I'm assuming it's not $100,000 on day one. It's, I don't know, $20,000 to get started or something.
Which project are you talking about?
The pump project.
I don't see the citizens giving us 5 years.
Right, no, I know, that's my point. And I'm just like, so if I knew the timeline of like, because I guess I'm hearing maybe we have to upfront the money and only if we have the money to upfront. So, but I'm assuming like, if we understood the timeline, like, could we start the project with 20,000 and then in a year we get the reimbursement from the Florida thing you just said?
Yeah, so we had applied, know that we're approved.
Right, and then so then it's the last 25 we gotta come up with, and there's a plan for how fast that can happen, but we do have to find something, because I agree, I don't think we can wait. So like, so then maybe, do we have to be aggressive and figure out how to fund the 25 now to get it into this budget cycle?
Well, we're gonna have the same amount in reserves, you know, regardless, because of our expenses, revenues are gonna just remain what they are. I don't think we need that physically put something in there that's gonna make or break the project at this point. There's a lot of things we need to find out.
I mean, could we, I guess, maybe the question is, could we kick off the project in 2 months? Do we have the money to do that?
Yes, we have the money to do it, but whether we wanna spend that money, and we wanna look at
How about bonding?
payoff.
How about going out for a bond?
Who's going to pay the bond? Who's going to pay for it?
Well, I guess I'd say he has
So I'd
money.
like to do-
Budgeted for
Yeah, but
5
right
years.
now, we have that because we have the money coming in from Pinellas to reimburse that.
And next
bond
year, we're
issue.
supposed to get another pennies from Pinellas, is
This
supposed
is-
to come out for another,
This is the last reimbursement year,
right,
so we're gonna get the rest of our reimbursement.
right.
And then I've heard talk of the next penny project, but I think it was 28,
28,
yes.
okay.
It was a little bit out. And I think planning on to start.
And how much
26.
did we get total for pennies from Pinellas, like 4 million?
Yeah, it
That
was,
was the rate.
it was.
like 200,000.
Yeah, that's something like 200.
So I think Kyle is confident, and I think he said it a couple of times, that He's confident that we have the money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we don't really need to do anything special right now because
Okay.
there's so many unknowns at this point regarding the project.
Right, I understand that, but I guess I'm hearing Jody mention some other things that maybe I'm just misunderstanding. So if he's saying we have the money, but
It's not allocated.
it's not allocated, but is there something else that we know might suffer? Like the reserves are gonna get too low?
Yes.
What else do we know is gonna
I think we're just
suffer?
not, I don't think we have enough financial information. I can't
Right.
tell last time
I
I saw
agree.
financial statements, but. we have to-
About our whole budget or of the pump specific?
Where we're at today,
Okay.
financially.
Okay.
Like what our financial statements look like, and how much of that money is already allocated. What happens to, what do we owe on the undergrounding?
Right.
How much do we have to pull out of our budget? See, there's a lot of moving parts that you're not seeing monthly, that
Right.
we pull money out of our budget to fund that,
Yep.
or fund the payment back to the bond issuance.
Yeah, I know I
or
asked,
wait for the
was
money
it
from
Heather
the
that I
penny.
asked that? I asked that of
Yeah.
Heather to get my own understanding of like what's the payment, what's the repayment schedule, all that kind of
I
stuff.
mean, it might be good for Heather to come to a meeting to kind of do, we used to have them come monthly to
Okay.
kind of give it, but then it seems redundant, but at least if you had every few months, a meeting with our accounting team, we might get a better understanding of what it is.
Right.
I'm clueless right now as
Okay.
well.
The total.
Yeah, I thought this meeting was gonna be part of that we would hear some alternatives for funding sources. So I thought she was gonna do a study of it and come back with some alternatives. So I would point out that the first priority here was public health and safety, and the number one objective there was mitigating street flooding. So if we need to look at our priorities, and if we need to reallocate any funds, I would say that that is a higher priority than lighting the streets or continuing undergrounding for a street that is partially in another town. I mean, I think those are alternatives that we need to consider also.
Amen.
But the one thing we have to know is that penny for Pinellas is not all our money. It was
Right.
also Bella Shores. So the only street getting undergrounded is Gulf Boulevard. It's
Right.
not anything it's not specific to Bel Air Beach. It's
Right.
Gulf Boulevard. So we just need to be aware of, those commitments were made. We have no say in it.
Right.
That was made by another council, and we have to fulfill that obligation, no matter what. We can't back out of that now.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean,
need to understand more about that, as well as the fact that we do have, we've just been talking about new street lights and plans differing around the park. And so those are all things that we can look at in terms of prioritization.
I think we can back out of certain things as council. I mean, I'd rather prioritize the flooding issue than underground wiring. I mean,
well, I hear, like Carl said, Kyle's saying that he thinks he can't afford it, but we might have to prioritize, and I don't, and like to Jody's point, I think we need, at least the council might need to have a better understanding of what's our budget situation look like, so that we can help make that
So do
prioritization.
we adjust millage? We've got a downside on the revenue coming in because of decreased property values, so do you adjust millage to go along with whatever the emergency is?
And then my only question, do you do that before you have the full understanding of the budget, or I mean,
I'm never in favor of raising taxes.
yeah, right. I'm kind of that way too, but I realize we gotta do the
options.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we gotta do the,
And I'll go back to, it's specific to a neighborhood, to 9th Street and
I
the tree
think,
streets. And
no,
they
it
need
goes all the
to.
way.
I think it goes up.
from
And-
the street down.
But my point is, it doesn't go north up there. It doesn't go north of the light and
The
the.
14th Street.
no, we got up to
The
18th.
flooding's not there, that's why.
Well,
No, 14th Street was underwater, up to 16th.
And
Yeah,
we,
Kyle,
and we
you-
put in some maintenance funding with our water, our sewer, storm sewer assessments, and I just think that that's been fair enough to do some maintenance stuff. Things that are specific to each street, I'll go with. I think those property owners should pay for it. If it's a priority and we can't find the sources to pay for it, then maybe it is an assessment to those property owners. I'd like to know how many property owners we're talking about, because I think it's very specific of what streets will be affected.
I think we should just then tear up a strategic plan, because if we're not gonna follow safety issues, then why even have it?
Wait. But I do think you're telling us it's basically 1st to 18th. That's more than half of the city.
That's the worst of it, yes.
It's more than half the city. So, I mean, we could have that, maybe we can have that debate when we really have this financial story in a better place, and you're telling us we have it covered. So, at least for today, does it seem like we don't need to do anything more at the moment, all right? I mean, we should know within like maybe a month or so. I mean, we could pull the trigger.
So I guess what's in my mind is, we're talking about almost $1 million project. That's not that's not an insignificant amount of money, and that
Right.
doesn't just kind of come out of left air. So I gotta see in my head, I gotta see in the budget where at least we've got a placeholder for this.
Right.
And then how we fund it is a whole other conversation.
I have a question. Kyle, how many homes are we talking about on 1st through 18th? Just roughly.
I guess you cover about half, maybe a little less, because there's smaller streets.
What are we thinking, like 800?
So if you got about 800 single-family homes, I guess maybe 350.
350. All right, and so I'm taking 1 million. And I'm dividing it by 350. That's $2,900 per home roughly.
I think that's an option to put on the table.
Do you think, Dave, are you thinking of that as a special assessment, or are you thinking of that as a,
Well,
Just a dollar
I'm
figure to work
thinking
from.
that to Jody's point, the other half, they actually paid more up front because their homes are higher up. They're not prone to flooding. And this is a continual problem for these particular homes. Now, if it's something that the city is doing wrong, and it's their higher homes anyway, and that we're making mistakes and we're causing the flooding, that's another story. But if it's a situation to where it's always flooded, it's never gonna stop, and we'd like to fix it permanently, and we'd like to get it done quickly, that may be the route to go rather than trying to save the money to get it done. It's something that definitely.
I think it should be on the table. Yeah, I think it's fair to put it on the table. And I think you're talking the 25%, right? We're still saying the 75% is potentially covered by Florida.
I look at that as reimbursement. I don't look at that I look at us, we've got to cover the cost to begin with, and then from there. if
So we have to save the full
Well, I mean,
million?
the problem with reimbursement, I mean, if I'm wrong here, Kyle, but that's a reimbursement. That is not a forward funding, so we would have to fund 100% up front to get reimbursed 75%.
That's typically how it works.
So we'd have to put out $1 million to get back
Or you put
750,
in
but that
partial
750 that
get it
750 might
back.
come back in 6 months or a year, we don't know.
Right. So yeah, that's what I was
Okay,
thinking.
and so if that's 25% that's left over that the city would have to account for, and I take that 2857 and I divide it by 4, well, now we're at roughly $715 per home on a single one-time charge.
I think that's reasonable.
I think that it should very much be one of the choices that we consider. I agree.
Good, fast, or cheap, which do you
Yeah.
want?
Well, you're only solving 9th Street. You're not
No, that's
solving.
1/18 he's talking about.
No, it's not, this amount we're talking about is only
Oh, for the
nine.
next decision.
What I'm saying is this is a pilot program
You
to
divided it among too many people.
solve a problem, so it may not be 350 homes, it may be, I don't know how many homes are actually benefiting from this one project. But my point is that it's something we should consider if this is, the homes aren't gonna be raised, the streets are gonna continually flood, and there needs to be a faster way to get rid of the water, and the city doesn't have the money to fully fund it. Well, we should be seriously having that debate. How bad do you want this fixed?
Yeah, but how do you assess 18th Street to First Street when only 9th Street will be
Benefiting.
benefited.
Yes, I think you have.
Well,
You can't observe it all night.
you know, this is just opening the conversation. This is
But
something
you
that,
can't ask
But if
me
you
on
do it over
8th Street,
time.
and somebody lives on First Street to fund 9th Street.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you can't dump $1 million on the owners of just 9th Street either, because they can't afford
But that's why you have to
$100,000.
do it citywide.
So you asked the question, let's let
30 to 35.
the mayor answer. He was trying to, and he got interrupted there.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So Frank had asked you a question about the fact that it's only 9th Street and you're gonna assess
I
for.
don't think it's only 9th Street that would benefit on this particular project. I think more than 9th, it would be the tree streets, it would be 9th Street, it would be Bay Shore, it might even, 7th and 8th may very well benefit some from it also. I'm not sure how the water flows back there. But my point is that, okay, we have to figure out how to do this, and what do? Do we do one and say, here's your freebie, and now we're gonna do the rest of them, and it's gonna be a big project if we move forward with all this. And I think it's far more cost than what the city can afford. I am not against doing this project, but what I am against is saying that the other half of the city is going to pay for this project whenever it's not necessary.
Right, they're not impacting.
And then just as a reminder, FDR assessments, that, you know, there is creative financing for that assessment, just like they did the undergrounding on 22nd.
Right.
Everyone had it. It was either, you either paid your assessment or it was added to your tax bill. So it's paid over time on the taxes. So there's ways, creative ways to make it work.
Right. I think they spread it over, what, 10 years?
Yes.
On your tax bill?
20 years I made from undergrounding.
That's
20 years, they said
A
20
bond, it's
years.
a bond.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha.
That
Okay.
makes it a small number.
Yeah, to spread the payment.
Right, and the avenue to pay the bond back is
It's
through that
tax.
tax collection.
Right. Okay.
And just so you know, the way that assessment works on us is if I sell my home tomorrow, the new owner assumes that assessment.
Is there an interest charge on that per year?
It's
It was good.
I'm
It was a good rate.
not sure what that was. I don't believe there's an interest charge on that. Kyle?
I believe there is interest, but I have to get the
The
rate.
city took the interest on the bond, but I don't think the owner took the
Wait,
interest.
Wendy's shaking her head yes, so, yeah, she would definitely know.
All right.
Okay.
So you guys ready to move on, or?
I'm just trying to think of what the plan is to go forward. What's the action to go forward then? Is the action to, let's recap. What's the action?
Is there, Can I post another option?
I mentioned
Okay.
that we should redo this whole thing from 18th Street to First Street and not just focus on one street. I mean, if we're going to tax assess everybody for 18 blocks,
and you're gonna have a $10 million project, $20 million project?
I don't think you'd have that much. If you channel the 8-inch dump pipe in there, I don't really think it's going to cost that much going down the easements.
I think the
So the
challenge
goal,
is time.
the initial goal is to do the pilot project to prove that it actually works somewhere. And it sounds like that Kyle may have a way to fund 3/4 of it. The city would be on the hook for the other quarter. And then once we prove that it worked, then we have the serious discussion of what do we want to do with the rest of the city. And that's where we need to, you know, I'm all for moving forward on the one project, especially if there's a short-term loan from the government so that we can move forward on it.
City attorney, I get assessed on a pilot program and it doesn't work. Can I sue the city?
You have to sign on to
Yeah,
it.
you have to, the paperwork would probably protect, could be written to protect the city from that. But your other, as you all have, you mentioned, and I think everyone understands, an assessment can't be necessarily everybody.
Right.
It's gonna be people that's affected. So if you're gonna do a pilot program in one area, it should, you'll make it specific for this.
Specific area. So I would say.
I love the fact that I have a city council member that wants to sue the city, but the truth of the matter is.
It's just an out question, Dave.
I mean, yeah, you're just trying to protect.
Yeah.
You're trying to protect.
You just look at the liability.
Yeah, it's just a liability.
Do we
It's
change,
a liability
do
question.
we change the stormwater fee to help fund this?
Again,
I brought that up
I think
before.
you can't collect enough, right? I mean, what are we bringing in, 158,000 or
I think
something
it's
a
30, I
year?
think it's 30 per house per month.
170.
One seven. Yeah, so that was intended to maintain all the work we're doing now.
All liners.
Yeah, and so, again, you get a water bill that has a $300 or $400 a month increase, you're gonna be raising Cain if you're a property owner.
All the streets are done, right? Under that $2.5 million bond, we've completed
That
it.
covered the rest of the last master plan.
Has there been any, did we make any money off of that? Did that come under budget?
Yes,
Well-
construction costs.
From the original master plan update,
Yeah.
the original cost projection is almost more than double.
Right.
So actually,
So as far as the actual amounts predicted in 2016 versus now, we came out a lot higher in the cost.
I think it was 3 million initially, I heard 3 million, it's a lot more than that.
I have the total of everything.
So could the action be, the first one is, I think you said, well, I still wouldn't mind, like, you having some confidence that you say we have the money to get it started, or?
I know that we have extra money being
Okay.
added to reserves that we were considering early payoff for our loan, so there's money available.
Okay.
It's just whether,
Okay, so-
how we want to plan.
So if you come back with that as an option, and then we would have the finance person, I guess, help us figure out a potential scenario that, figures out the 25% that might have to be, I guess, well, I guess if the city could come up with the 100% until we can get the reimbursement for the 75%, and then the 9th Street just pays for the 25%, right? And maybe we put the connection between 9th, 7th, and 8th, we put the pipe that connects them, and now we got it spread over 3 streets paying for it. I'm just throwing that on the table so we can have a couple choices to vote on. And I think we just need some homework to do that. And I think we need some better understanding of
I
what
think
the
it's-
finances really look like.
This has to go back to the drawing board.
And I'm gonna feel like it's all the way back.
Kim, did you have something?
Didn't we authorize, going to get an estimate on the cost?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So
happening.
where is that?
Going to be released shortly, but we're probably going to have to release it for 5 weeks to get a decent amount of return.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
so
gonna sit for 5
that's
minutes.
something-
Yeah,
Right,
like,
okay.
time.
That's some information that we need, but if we as a city are going to start looking at, as a matter of policy, if we look at public works projects and then determine who benefits, I just want to consider this policy all the way through. So how do you respond to residents who already have elevated homes, who are already in the area? Do they benefit from this? How do you respond with the next public works project and say, well, only certain streets benefit? So I think we need to think that through in terms of a policy.
Well, you have to go to the residents and get their support. So if they don't support the project, then it doesn't move forward, just as Second. If they didn't get support from the neighbors, they wouldn't have moved forward on the undergrounding.
Right.
And that's the benefit to it. It's not
They
us
didn't
making decisions for everyone else.
How do you respond to those that may have objected to the undergrounding?
Majority.
What happened with them?
Simple majority?
Hey, Dave, so there was a percentage required, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, it was more than a majority that was required.
But I guess what all I'm proposing at this point is to have the scenarios laid on the table. I'm not saying that we're ready to decide that, we're gonna do an assessment. Or, and it could lay that way, but at least to have the scenarios. I feel like we're working a little more incomplete picture right now. Like, I think everyone's saying that, right? If we spend some time, I think we want to do it. It's just a matter of what's the best way to.
I can't see getting public support from First Street to 8th Street to 16th Street by saying, hey, look, we're gonna assess you $2,900
You're gonna have to run this as a
with
nice
a hope.
project.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
basically these people are cheap. I mean, they're not gonna.
No, I get it, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. They're not.
Councilmember Baker, I'd like to correct my earlier statement, which was I was just throwing some numbers out there as to what a single pump would cost the taxpayer. At the end of the day, I don't know how many pumps you would have, probably 10. So you would multiply that number by 10. But the point is that I am absolutely for moving forward with a single pump as a pilot program. Once it's proven or disproven that it works or it doesn't work, well then now it's time to get serious about how does the city fund the rest of it. The difference between what's going on right now and what's going on with 22nd Street is that 22nd Street decided they were sick and tired of looking like a third world country with wires going all over the place, and every time it stormed they would fall down on the street. And they worked on this project for years trying to get the community together and also get the city council to agree that it was okay to do this project. Once the right council got in there, they got it done. They got community buy-in, and now it's beautiful over there. I look at it the same way. If we can prove that it does work, and we show to the community that, hey, these pumps do work, and if you don't want your street to flood anymore, maybe you should get behind this project and let's get it done together. So as far as financing the first pump goes, I think that Kyle is working hard to find a creative way to fund it. Right now, it looks like we don't have the money for it. But it looks like there might be a way to do it, and I am still open to looking at the quotes we receive and trying to do everything that we can for the community to move forward. Once we see if one works and we consider the project a success, well then we should be able to draw up a case study and get that out to the community as far as the streets that flood go, that hey, if you'd like to see this everywhere, this is what it's going to take.
Well, with that said, I believe that we should bring in a pump company, MWI, like they came in December of 2023, and let the experts show us, like they did then, this here was a community that had flooding problems, and they had storms showing that the amount of rain that came in certain storms, and they had pictures of this area, and then they had pictures of the same type of storms come in, and no water. Throwing in a pump with crossing your fingers isn't good business. It's government business, but it's not good business. I mean, I always resort to the experts on something like this, okay? Not that, well, this looks like it's going to work. Yeah, it did work. $2,900, you.
Right, but the pilot.
I think you run the pilot. I think you run the pilot as a city expense, and then you justify that as a case study to draw other residents into wanting to do the same project, and then that's when you start talking about the assessments.
Right.
I think we've agreed to that a while ago. You know, that we're going to, just like Dave said, we're going to do a pilot program with 9th Street.
So, I mean, actually, I wasn't sure that we are all along with that,
But I think the city is, it appears.
Yeah, we're gonna find out what that cost is gonna be, and then we're gonna look at how we could pay for it and options.
We're talking about $600 and some thousand dollars. So who's going to pay the $600,000 unless we raise taxes or take it out of the reserves or we get this money back? That's my concern. Yeah. And
Well, we
all I'm
have
saying
options,
is,
that's the good news, right? We do have options.
all I'm saying is we ought to bring the experts back in and say this, what we need to do here is this, this, and this.
Well, so are you saying that the engineering firm we have hired is not an expert?
That's what Jim and I did.
That's what, I
They're
mean, that's
not,
what
they're
Jim.
not an expert, they said, they're not an expert in pumps.
I haven't heard one person, including your pump company that you had out here, tell us that this is gonna work. No one, they've all said this, there are several cities that have tried it in Florida, and no one has proven that it works.
Well, they also showed you areas in Florida where it did work.
Well, they pulled up Palm Beach, and they were pretty adamant, and the Boca area, that there was no proof that it was working. So.
I don't remember
that's-
them saying it didn't work with the pumps they put down there.
I thought they said it was a high probability that it would work. I mean, is it guaranteed?
They
I don't think
didn't know
anything's.
for sure.
Right, I don't think anybody's gonna say anything's for sure. We didn't know the check valves are
Right.
for sure, but we got check valves now.
Right.
We didn't know that the sand was gonna work. We have sand, but.
My point is no one, even the expert you're referring to, is gonna tell us a definite, yes, it's gonna work. So that's the problem.
I'm comfortable with the confidence they have.
I'm good with
With the engineering work they've done, that this is, with this reasonable
Yeah, it's
probability
still
that this
just
is
in
going
that
to work.
right area, that one area.
Right,
We
yeah.
really need to go.
I thought we asked them to do a lot more homework, they did it, and I think that's further confidence building that this will work. It's not 100%, nothing's 100%.
I think my biggest concern right now is that if we pull the trigger today, we're talking March or April.
At least.
So the longer we drag our feet in
Right.
studies and continue to go through this process.
But I don't think we need to do any
I don't want
studies.
to pull the trigger prematurely, but I think we need to account for the funding in the budget.
Yeah, I don't think we need any more engineering analysis, I just think we need the finance part
Bids
understood.
are supposed to be submitted. We don't know that yet.
I know, but usually it's like shorter time periods, be 4 to 5 weeks, we'd be rushing it.
When did you put it out there for the meeting?
No, they just,
They're
they're
working on it.
finalizing it today and now they're reviewing it, I'll check the dates.
Right.
Which we agree.
That's fine.
And there's always the potential that we get no bid submitted.
Right, that's
So
potential.
we need to be prepared for that. There could be no bids, zero.
I'm not gloom and doom, but yeah, that's an option that could happen, I understand it. I think people still want to make money, so I think there's going to be room in bed for it.
And I think something working against us, because we have to be real about this. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much work
That's it.
that's available out there.
Yeah.
And so the contractors can be very, very, very selective. And if they think there's better contracts out there for them to bid on, that's what they do.
Okay.
So
Well, we're going to take the 5 weeks to find out.
Yeah.
All right, what else
I
to
have
do?
a question about the budget for this. Currently, it's not in the budget at all. Is that right, Kyle?
Yeah, there's currently not a project planned officially in the budget.
You know, it seems to me that if we're trying to do this and we're trying to get it done, it seems that we should actually have at least something in the budget for
I
this
agree.
project. Rather than waiting until we get quotes back and then we're having to amend something with a budget that may be completely maxed out.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of putting it
I'd
in.
rather put a placeholder.
Yeah.
Do a
You okay
capital-
with that?
I'm totally fine.
Okay.
Affected either way, I don't think.
Just-
It's just sometimes people get, when they see something put in the budget, then they feel like it's a definite thing.
Right.
But not really definite.
Well, and does it just become a capital improvement?
Go ahead, Kim.
Just add that.
Kim, go ahead.
Over time.
I have a question about the budget itself, because we don't compare the last year's budget to last year actual. So when we review a budget for the next year, if somebody's like under budget somewhere, that would come up in a comparison to actual.
We do actual for not this current year, but the previous year,
Yeah.
because we don't have actual.
Because we haven't finished this
Still in
year.
there.
Yeah. So there are actual.
Well, I know it's, okay, we haven't finished it, but it could be annualized.
I look at it and as part of my analysis, but I don't try to put it all on paper when I
Right.
do that.
Kyle, previous budgets I sat on, we had, I think, $200,000 allocated for generator, $100,000 for a boat. What happened to that money?
So we kind of talked, discussed through each of these items. The generator
Yeah.
was kind of postponed, shut down.
I understand that, but it was allocated in the budget to go forward, right?
It was in there as a capital project to be considered, and then it was removed.
Yeah, so there's $300,000 right there in the last.
It was, the reserve, the money was reserved, but it was coming from somewhere else.
And then we did that projection after we made that decision, so that was factored.
Right. So it sounds like we want a budget line item put in for this with the understanding that it's not real paper, it's just a planning tool. And we want
Capital project,
capital project planning
yeah.
tool. Okay. And then we would like a better understanding from the finance person on what does our outlook really look like as with all the puts and takes that are coming.
And
I'd also like to know, I'd also like to know if that budget item becomes real, where do you cut elsewhere
Right.
to find the money? What portions of the budget can we cut back to actually have enough money to get the project done?
So is that a project, that's a task we would give to Kyle with having also the additional information coming from the finance person so that you could come back with a good recommendation for that?
She has a large spreadsheet that she put
Okay.
together that just done a lot of calculations.
Okay. Seem reasonable?
Yeah.
You know, I would think that this is something that it should just go ahead and be in the budget. And then if something happens and the project does not move forward, well then we can do an amendment and move it back to fund whatever it is that we cut. But I think that for us to actually move forward on this project, we're going to have an established budget that we can vote on.
Right. I guess I'm maybe wondering, do we want any other options for the finance person to work for us or not?
Well, something I want to say too is we use the Citizens Advisory Committee for projects like this.
Okay.
Because we've got some really sharp citizens on that, and they're meeting and.
They're meeting tomorrow, and I'm gonna bring this up.
Okay.
For another meeting, once we have these projections.
Should we bring this
I'd like
topic up
their analysis to recommend to the council.
They'll probably gather information that would be in probably another meeting out, right? I don't think they couldn't
We
slice
can
and dice
introduce
it
them to the
tomorrow.
question.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and the knowledge is incredible, so.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
We were talking about doing this in the spring before the storm hit.
Right. You're okay with that bringing up tomorrow then?
Yes.
Okay.
They're actually meeting Wednesday.
So the time,
Wednesday, okay.
the time factor is really when Heather can have that final, so I'll find out. Can we email you guys?
All right, good conversation.
AC repair.
It came on.
I gotta check on it. Yeah, I think the computer jammed
I
up.
hear it running, but.
Finally turned on. We may not be here long enough for it to fill this room.
Right.
So what's the next,
Okay, so we were on increase, so we were talking about the website and then the other communications, we have to develop city meeting summaries, which Renee started.
Yeah. That's excellent.
And then aesthetics, we had the objective to finish Gulf Boulevard of beautification project, which is ongoing. The continued code enforcement survey and analysis, I think recently we put a lot of effort into kind of revamping our code enforcement procedures and using the new database.
So the main thing we're doing on code enforcement here now is we're also asking more funding to support more.
For more hours.
For more hours.
So yeah, we're
Right, okay.
budgeting more, that additional 4 hours throughout
Okay.
the next budget year as well. And code enforcement has always been important to the community, so it's ongoing and we're always trying to improve it. And then objective 3 is develop citywide curb repair program. We talked about this. We have a lot of curbs that just got recently replaced with our street project. There's some curbs on some of the earlier BMPs where the curbing wasn't replaced, just as the asphalt was resurfaced. And there are some spot fixes that could be done in some areas that you have puddling. But I mean, it would really be, what I would like to do is establish a standard where we say like if it's over this much puddling and a time lapse that we have, it's a marker that we know that, okay, then we're going to take action on this versus something that's not as nature. So that's in the works. I have not, I need to do a full assessment now that we've replaced a lot more of our curbs to see where the oldest stuff is.
Can I add something to that? I was at Morgan Park last night, and the shower, there's, I don't know, it's probably ankle deep water standing between the shower and the seawall. and starting to grow green fuzz in there. So it's a slip and fall risk that I actually.
Yeah, that's happened on 6th Street too.
Yeah.
It's happened on the 6th Street shower too. Algae growing in the cement, right? Yeah, it's still leaking.
See
Yeah.
right here, here you go.
It's starting to look like the intersection of Causeway and
Yeah, I don't-
Grove.
what's going on there too? So that's.
It's just at the 6th Street.
So I don't know if we could just cut along this side of the sidewalk and kind of, because right there's a break in the wall and it's running over.
Yeah.
So if we could just cut, if we could get it, like cut the sand down on this side and get it to run out to the seawall, probably
Right.
solid tone.
Move it around a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, they'll figure
Oh,
it out.
this leak?
All right, yeah, just,
Yeah, remember, we've been smacked with that problem once already.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's sand
Yes.
on the sidewalk.
Okay. And then, for the beach and water, we have, objective one was campaign for Pinellas County Green Nourishment Funding. I think that's ongoing. And then regulate anchored vessels in Clearwater Harbor, and you mentioned that the last workshop.
That's the Clearwater Harbor.
I know the attorney Trash is gonna look into, I don't know what his,
He didn't report anything to me, so I'll remind him, because we want to talk
We just
about
need to see what
what you can do.
Can we pass codes that say you have to be pumped, you have to have proof that you're pumped out weekly? You
Right.
have to have proof that your boat runs, operates on its own. There's one right there that doesn't, we know that for a fact, it's sitting
They
on
must have,
bottom.
Key West has
they
that.
must have pumped that one out because it was really,
No, I mean pump out the sewage,
no, I'm
not,
talking about that one was
That
almost sinking.
one's
because it's
sinking
low
again.
tide, it's sitting on the bottom.
Yeah.
When it's
The
low,
tide's coming up now, I think.
you know, when it's low tide, it levels out, because it's sitting on the bottom.
Or bottom side right now.
Yeah, so, yeah, so that's the kind of thing we're looking at.
I
There's a whole
asked
bunch of boats over by the-
by the 45.
By the ramp, and then that are gone.
Answered, we gotta get close.
Did they do something to clear them out?
I'll sort of back on that.
Technically county park, isn't it?
Anything else about the strategic
plan?
So, I just want to run through everything, when Vice Mayor Glenn originally put this together, he kind of like started from square one, build it from there, but I wanted to cover the structure that he put together and where we last.
And if we ever have a work session when we have time, I mean, the goal was that every March this would be looked at and each
Yes.
council revise it to their goals, right? So,
Right.
because it's a live
That little document,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it should be adjusted and constantly looked at, and unfortunately it's being filed away and no one looks at it. And it's kind of important when we're looking, so if we do the review of this in March, and we roll into budgets, we've already talked about all this
Right.
station stuff that we need, all that's been
Right.
addressed already, rather than trying to get it all done in the budget session.
What we were hoping for is that some items would drop off and new items would replace them.
Right.
So it was a living document, and we had clear direction on what we were supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, do we feel anything needs to drop off? Do we think a lot's changed in the last year with the storm. Do things need to be reprioritized?
Yeah, I know, because I was like going, like that walking path seemed like a big item, but that's like, nothing, right now it'd be nice, but who cares about that? We've got
Right,
bigger
right,
fish to
right.
fry, so.
Where was that?
That's public safety, we have the
The easement.
Easements.
the easements, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about how to go out paving or shelving those easements.
Okay. Yeah.
We surveyed it.
I'm mostly hearing from folks flooding and code enforcement.
And mosquitoes,
And
which is
mosquitoes, right, yeah,
accompanied with
I
that.
don't know, with
Right.
the-
So Aaron's been making progress. He put in every park for mosquito control, and then he's been talking to like the lead guy, and they've done it twice.
Oh,
Came
good.
through it. So hopefully it's making an effect.
Yeah, I thought it backed off.
How does code enforcement become aware of pools? They don't walk in people's backyards, right?
Neighbors.
It's neighbors complaining, okay, so it is on the neighbors to say something, okay.
I did have one resident suggest that the play equipment in the park might be cleaned, that sometimes it's pretty dirty.
That's what the kids are your ends for, isn't it?
Your Clorox
I think it's been said by two people, Dave and Jody, that really, I think this has to have its own workshop.
Okay.
I think where we sit down and go through it and determine which ones lead and then which new ones we want to put on.
Okay.
Because that's, we want this to be a great document. We want it to be used and we want it, and Kyle said he does use it, and I know he does. So when he's talking about putting the budget together, he wants to make sure any monies that are suggested to be expended, that they tie in to this. If they don't, we shouldn't be doing it. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah. Sounds good. Sorry. So then we don't want to talk about modifying it tonight. We'll save that for another.
I think so.
Okay.
All right, anything else on the strategic plan? Nope. How about with the general business? Because there's general business on both of these agendas, that we just wait for the second one to do the general business. Instead of doing it now.
So maybe I still want to finish up. So now that we've reviewed the budget and we've just agreed, I guess we've agreed to the minor changes you suggested, and then we suggested you added a capital project item. That's
Right.
it. That's done, right? That's
Mhm.
that's that item closed. Okay. All right.
Are we on the general business now, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
number 3. So if we just don't do that here, because there's also a general business on the second agenda that we're going to be doing right after this. And that way we just do it once. You guys good with that, Dave, Kim?
Yep.
Okay. So now we need to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Boom, okay. All right. How about we, you guys want a break?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
simple, right?
Yeah, how about we come back at,
It's just a
oh, we come back at 4:15.
Just a note.
Oh, adjourn.
All right, I'll check the air.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want me to open the door?
Say, might be cool.
Yeah.
Be back at 7:45.
And then you can just feed us.
No, let's stay in the heat.
Yeah. There you go. Really cold.
Here's your agenda for this one coming up.
Hey Kathy, maybe would it be maybe I wouldn't mind switching to paper mode.
Paper
Would-
mode?
Yeah, you don't need to do it now, but I didn't see this one.
That's the trade is all it is.
Right, but was there a meeting invite for that, or was it just added on to the?
I'm getting away from
It was added on to the same invite, so it's in your, it's in the agenda packet that's online.
Is that why they
at the
put
very
me down?
back.
Oh, at the very end of it. Okay, at the very end. Got it. Okay, but I guess what I was coming over to ask you was like, maybe I will switch to one of these folder
The binders. you wanna
binder
start
approach,
getting
right?
those
I think I'm the
and
only
stuff?
one that's gone digital here, right?
There's two of you. Well, the mayor's digital and your digital.
Digital, right?
To whatever they have.
Yeah.
And it's really
Is it a big pain?
How old are you?
It's a lot of color copies, but
It's a
one more
lot.
person, I mean, that's the thing, I think,
Right.
the,
Actually, no. Let me go a little longer. Let me go a little longer.
because, I mean, we talked about it because they used to have
And they're all out.
I don't know if they're iPads or
There's
the actual
camps,
Surface computers.
schools.
Yeah,
They did, and I don't know why, it was before I came here, and they didn't like them, I guess, or something.
Well, you guys are going a little faster than I can mark up on as I'm like capturing my notes.
That's the best part about the paper, is as soon as you can note.
Yeah,
it
I'm like,
easier.
I
It's
can
hard to
follow
do.
around pretty quick, but like when I want to capture my comment, I'm like, yeah, I don't really. It would be nice if I just had the pen version. Yeah, just like.
Then that one gets better.
Actually, I don't know if I
Yeah,
have
that's
that.
true, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, because that's where we started.
Right, but I hate to throw like a bunch of
I
copying.
know,
Who
because
does
some-
all the copying? You?
Going to school.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's just like, I mean, it could be 150
looks
pages
like a
for
lot of
each
it.
one
It
of
is
your
amazing.
binders,
You're right.
and then it's a 2-hour meeting, then I throw them in the trash, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I really throw this stuff away. I feel so bad.
Yeah, no, I feel so bad. All right,
But
you're saying I'm like,
But one
It's
more
gonna get quicker,
person,
quicker.
one
Right,
more
right.
person won't matter. I
Right,
mean,
right,
you know,
right.
so, but it's, I mean, I wish there was a better way.
So you basically bring all these binders
Yeah, I don't.
to this meeting? Is when do people see these binders?
They went in their mailboxes Friday, but like Todd didn't pick his up. A lot of them didn't pick them up on Friday, so they had the weekend. Because usually Kyle gets me the stuff like at the
Yeah.
end of the week,
Right.
very last minute. So you guys try to get them
Right,
in
right.
by 4 o'clock on Friday.
Okay.
And then we come in here Monday, and then when you leave your binder here. I clean it out, throw it in the trash. And I mean,
Okay.
even like on this budget, it's this.
Yeah.
We just
How many
had
times have
this-
you printed that? How many times have people
This
printed
is the
that?
second time because Heather had to go in.
I kept
and-
mine.
and-
If I need
but
it,
see, I couldn't keep, because I kept everybody's, hoping I could give you back the same ones.
Right.
But we couldn't because Heather's like, the pages changed because I just had
Oh,
a
the
couple.
numbering changed even?
Everything changed, and she said I had a few tweaks to make, and I'm like, oh, wait, I should make me sick, but I mean,
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
I just wish that, even like, if we could do, like, I even said, I talked to Renee, who's in St. Pete Beach now, Renee who was here. I said, what does your council do? And she says, we have like, monitor screens up at the,
Right, I would like if the person, like if Kyle was presenting, he could be like working from the screen and we could be following on the screen. And we
yeah,
could-
because that screen's really not good. This one back here, the big one, it's
Right.
hard for you guys to see, because.
Right.
But we do,
But they could project it for people that are listening to the meeting too. They could also follow along more easily if they could see a.
We need a better setup because, and if we found something better, it would save some money because the money we spend on these copies and stuff, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy.
I mean, he has. I mean, I guess Kyle could work from it, but he's not in the meeting.
Yeah, I don't know, but
There's got to be a he can connect it network.
So.
yeah, I'd like to come
Alright.
up with a better
I'm
way.
gonna fight through it a little longer.
Okay.
Can't bring myself to do it.
Well, if you change your mind, we can do it.
Did you ever hear dry needling? It's like acupuncture, but it's not acupuncture. I had pain in my neck for 3 years. And I got epidural shots, never got any relief. And then I was going to select physical therapy. And he massaged, and he'd get me feeling decent for a couple of hours. And he says, we should try this dry needle. And my back doctor, they shoved these 6 needles like in my neck area. Didn't hurt that much. I mean, my neck was sore because of the needles, okay, after it was done. Knock wood, trying to find 3 months, okay.
Oh, you just had it done recently?
3 months ago.
Good for you, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to the point where you try anything.
Yeah, well, I said try it.
Yeah.
I mean, they put me on these, I have a neck stretcher at home, you put in there and you pump it up and it stretches your neck and it does all this other
So any compression you have is supposed to help.
Yeah, and it would help for a couple of hours or something like that, maybe a day, but, they shoved that needle in there.
I'm like, as you're saying, I'm always hunched over, I need a neck stretcher.
Yeah, the other thing was they put you on you ever go on this table where they stretch your back?
It sounds terrible.
And it says,
Come out taller, but then you.
vertebrae decompression, so I'm guessing that's what it is.
Yes,
Stretching
yeah,
it.
they put it around your waist, and then there's a pulley at the end. Well, they did 90 pounds on me, he was around 70. That's not one of those.
And do you have to resist it or you strap it?
No, you're strapped in, it's just pulling you from down here, and that helped a lot, but for my lower back. I got like 3 big compressed disc in my neck doing.
Does it naturally go back?
Yeah, but this,
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
So you have to
Rapid,
go right
the one I was going like twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't, I had a great.
just south of the border. Just south of your, they have like the open lot next to the parking lot.
I had a friend who wanted to be a policeman in the canals of Panama where I grew up, and they had a strip rule you had to be.
And right now, the
defined
sign, I mean, the replacement can go all the way until they get to Bel Air Shores, right? And then they stop.
And he got stripped.
Yeah, I'll find out more.
What street is that at? That's about like 18 or something, or
It's one house.
Wow.
It's not long term.
Okay, so like
Like it's all the
19th, so
joints.
everybody north of 19th is gonna get
It's just
a nice barrier.
They're supposed to get 5 foot,
They have those benches where you're gonna hang upside down, and do the same thing.
See, they don't advise you to do that. I was gonna buy one.
So all people south of
After
that
50,
don't get any protection,
They say that
really. We don't get any worse, right, worse.
Strokes.
No.
There's
Well,
a
you know
lot
what
of
they get,
strokes for people over 50.
where we kind of lose out is.
And you look like a
everybody
bag,
gets
you know, when you're hanging.
And eventually, if it's in a couple of years.
we have one, but I never use it.
They
Play a lot
get
of
it.
beach.
That's what I'm
Sand.
Yeah.
And the beach stays.
You know, and if you get stuck, you better have somebody there.
They have those things.
Yeah, I thought sometimes it goes south, because I always feel like Bella Shores ends up with some sand.
They get something.
This is always.
Oh, they're getting it from the
Flows,
sand.
they get something.
Yeah, they do, yeah, they probably don't want to pay for it, because they, I'm like, I don't need to give you anything, my sand's gonna come in, it's coming to me anyway, your sand's coming my way. All right. You ready to get going?
So it should cool down some more. Oh, freezing.
It's better than the 80 degrees it was when I walked past that.
It just shut down, it just, like,
So it was like nothing was wrong.
burnt down.